So after game week 1, where I got 65 points, we're now looking ahead to game week 2. I want to make sure that I'm increasing my rank, and I'm going to take you through my team selection. So make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe, and let me know if you agree or disagree. So my game week 2 selection starts with the goalkeeper, and it is Robert Sanchez. I've got Robert Sanchez in goal instead of Dubravka because, as you can see, I've got a Steve starting in defense. So I don't really want to go back to back on having two Burnley defenders slash goalkeepers in my squad this week. So I've gone with Robert Sanchez. They kept a clean sheet against Crystal Palace. And I know it's going to be a tough game against West Ham away, who are coming off the back of a heavy defeat. Jared Bowen, Lucas Paqueta, Callum Wilson potentially starting. I think West Ham will get opportunities, but I'm just going to stay confident and hope that Chelsea can carry on their preseason success and get another clean sheet on Friday night. So I'm going to stick with Robert Sanchez. And that leads me on to a Steve. A Steve is obviously a cheap defender. We all know that he's a budget defender at 4 million. And it's for games like this. When I have tough weeks where I'm like, what can I do? He has to start. I know they're playing a team like Sunderland who are going to come in full of confidence. But we've got to remember, when Burnley were playing in the Championship, the amount of clean sheets they kept was amazing. And look, they've lost Trafford, they've lost Egan Riley to Marseille, and they've had a bit of a shake-up. However, if Burnley are looking to stay in the Premier League, it's games like these that they must win. And that's how I'm looking at it. So I'm going to go over Steve and hope that they can bank a clean sheet and maybe nick a 1-0 win. And then this is where it is tricky for me because I've got Murillo and I've got Nico Williams. And look, being honest, people that have Nottingham Forest defenders stick by it because they was unlucky to concede last week with obviously the penalty from Igor Thiago. But one thing I am slightly concerned about is having two of them starting. My plan and my original go-to was Ezri Konsa starting against Brentford. That would have given me one of Murillo Williams, Konsa, Steve, and Sanchez, a player from each team. So then at least if one doesn't get a clean sheet, the other might. Now with Konsa getting his red card and now missing game week 2, it's put me in a tricky position because I either had to make a transfer, which I didn't want to make, or I have to take the risk and go with a Nottingham Forest double back four. So I'm going to opt for the double of Nottingham Forest due to Eberechi Eze signing for Arsenal. It should be his last game for Crystal Palace in Europe. And then that will give, hopefully, Palace something that they're missing in the final third. So this is going to be my back four for game week 2. Now we go into the midfield, the tricky part, the interesting part. Did I make a transfer or did I not? Well, the news is out now. I have decided to roll my midfield transfer. I've gone with Anderson, Palmer, Wirtz, and Gakpo. And I'll be honest with you, as a big FPL player, I've been playing it since 2008. I'm unsure about this. I actually slightly contemplated potentially a free hit, but I'm not going to. So put that to the side, people. Elliot Anderson is starting in my midfield. You've seen that Douglas Luiz is going to join Nottingham Forest. They've got Sangari in the number 6. So I think this is perfect for Elliot Anderson. It's allowing him the up and down role, the all-action midfielder. We saw that he nearly got DEFCON points last week, and I expect him to be close this week because Crystal Palace are a physical team. You know it's going to be a tricky game. There's probably not going to be a lot of goals. So it's going to be relying on players like Elliot Anderson to stand out. So I'm going to keep him in the team with a very kind fixture in game week 3 at the moment, which is West Ham at home coming up. Cole Palmer. Well, if you didn't know, I'm going to tell you now. Cole Palmer has 3 goals in 2025, I believe, from open play. Like, that stinks. And he's a concern at the price point. But if there's any game that's going to get Cole Palmer back amongst the points, it is going to be this weekend against West Ham. In his last 3 seasons, Cole Palmer has really excelled in game week 2, getting a goal and an assist, I believe, in the last 2 or 3 seasons. So on that standpoint, I'm going to definitely keep Cole Palmer in. At the moment, I've got him on vice captain. And the only reason I probably haven't captained him is because I don't like captain games on a Friday, which are the first game. That's just me. I'm superstitious. So if someone's got Cole Palmer as captain in their team, don't be put off because I haven't got him captain. I just don't like going for the first game in the game week because you know, guys, if that doesn't work out, you are then fuming for the whole weekend. But I've gone with Cole Palmer because I believe that they can get back to winning ways against West Ham. They conceded 3 against Sunderland, and the pressure is now on Graham Potter. So let's see what can happen with that situation. Florian Wirtz. He is the one that could be in trouble in the next couple of game weeks. Newcastle away, Arsenal home, struggled in his first game against Bournemouth with the intensity, the physicality, was not getting him very much scoring positions. I'm going to keep him in because at 150 million what Liverpool signed him for, I've seen people saying potentially he could be benched. You know, he could be rotated with Gravenberch coming back. Well, the truth in my mind is that Gravenberch hasn't trained a lot. I don't think that's the type of game you can just bring Gravenberch straight into because it's going to be a raucous atmosphere at St. James's. And they've signed him to be in the team for these big games, for these big moments. I think Florian Wirtz will want to play in this. So at the end of the day, you know, you don't want to see him dropped after the second game. What does that do for his confidence? So Florian Wirtz, I'm keeping because I believe that he will still start. But after game week 3, I think that could be a potential option that I'm looking at and saying, I don't know if he's going to be in my squad. But this week he is. And then Gakpo, I believe this game actually really suits Gakpo. I think it's going to be quite in end-to-end in terms of a lot of energy, you know, a lot of players getting moments in transition. And I think Cody Gakpo is one of the best players for Liverpool in transition. He gets on his left side, he cuts in onto his right foot, and he can finish. And we all know that Newcastle will be looking at Mo Salah and trying to keep him quiet. And I'm hoping that would then free up the space for Gakpo to get his second goal of the season and make it 2-2 at a great price point of 7.5. Josh King, I am going to give him a brief mention. He is playing Manchester United on Sunday. Surprisingly, he did start last week, which I didn't expect. Whether that's going to be something on a continual basis, I don't believe so. But he will be on my bench. So I've gone with Anderson, Palmer, Wirtz, and Gakpo with a close eye keeping on Florian Wirtz. And now over to the exciting part. The part where I need to see more goals. I need to see more productivity because when I went into game week 1, Watkins, Pedro, and Haaland, I was really excited about. I thought this is a great front three. It's potentially at least 2 of them players that I don't need to change. They're kind of lock-ins for 38 game weeks of the season, no matter who they're playing. But only 1 delivered and 2 disappointed. So this week we want something different. And we're going to start with Ollie Watkins, who I am definitely going to keep in and going to give another chance to. I think that Aston Villa have got a great set of 8 to 9 fixtures to start the Premier League. And Watkins has to find the net in some of them. It's just a must. It's just a must. If Aston Villa are going to be having aspirations of getting into European places, then Ollie Watkins must be scoring goals. As I've mentioned to before, people, in the last 3 seasons, Ollie Watkins has averaged over 15 goals. You know, he's played over 35 games. He's injury-free usually, and he's consistent in terms of getting goals and returns. He struggled against Newcastle, but, you know, Newcastle, they were defensively solid. The way they set up was brilliant. And I think now that Aston Villa are going to have to wake up and start smelling the coffee. And Unai Emery, you need to be more attacking. You need to be more expressive because he played a very defensive sort of lineup last weekend. So when we look at Ollie Watkins now going into the Brentford game, it's his former club. Brentford are struggling. They've already lost to Nottingham Forest. And I just don't think they're the same team without, you know, Vissa and Mbumo. And if Aston Villa want to be climbing up the table, then I look at Brentford as a team that potentially could be in a relegation battle. They have to win that. Morgan Rogers, Donyell Mallon, Ollie Watkins. These players need to be starting. They need to be taking the pressure to Brentford. And I do believe that Ollie Watkins will score this weekend. I don't think he'll score more than 1, but I would be disappointed even if he doesn't get a return because that would be 2 games, 1 at home, 1 away against relegation battles that you'll be thinking, come on, Ollie, get me something. So at 9 million, we need to start seeing returns in the next 2 weeks for Ollie Watkins. And hopefully that starts this weekend. João Pedro. Question mark. That's what I just drew there. Rotation, minutes risk. I think we've all got it coming with João Pedro, though. We're in our heads right now thinking it was a great pick, but really, is it a great pick? And I'm going to roll the dice this weekend, hoping that he starts. But can I put one thing out there? Don't be surprised if Liam Delap starts over João Pedro. And I'll give you my reasons quickly. Crystal Palace played a back 5. West Ham play a back 5. They are physical, just like Crystal Palace. And João Pedro struggles to get in the game sometimes. You know, he's a false 9 type of striker. He's not your striker like an Ollie Watkins that's going to score the nitty-gritty goals like Erling Haaland. So João Pedro stylistically might not actually work for a game against West Ham. Liam Delap definitely suits a game against West Ham, more physical or more of a presence. So don't be surprised from a tactical standpoint if Liam Delap comes in. However, I am going to stick with João Pedro and believe that what he's shown in pre-season, 5 goals in 6 games, Maresca is going to be more stern, more tough, and say, look, I'm going to give you another opportunity. That was the first game. No one else really shined in the first game. So it wasn't just a João Pedro problem. So I'm going to keep with João Pedro and hope that he can return alongside Cole Palmer this Friday night, and hopefully Chelsea can score some goals, at least 3 or 4. But let's see what happens. So João Pedro and Florian Wirtz, I would say they're my 2 players under a close watch. But I am, again, going to roll the dice, roll the transfer, and keep with them in my squad. And then my captain pick. Well, if you don't have Erling Haaland, what do I say to you people? You're scared. You're scared. Just admit it. You're scared. Because Erling Haaland is going to be my captain this weekend, off the back of their performance against Wolves, off the back of them being their first game at the Etihad, and also that they are going to try and get this Premier League title back. Man City are hungry. Erling Haaland is hungry, and I think there'll be chances in this game. Look, Thomas Frank can play a back 5. He can come with a back 4. He can do what he wants and try and make it a bit more defensively solid. But one thing we know with Tottenham and Man City is it's guaranteed goals. And I think this goes under the radar a little bit. Despite Tottenham's win last week against Burnley, they actually conceded a fair few chances, especially when you look at the XG and stuff like that. So I still believe that Tottenham will be giving away chances, but on the plus side, Tottenham will then be scoring goals. So I'm hoping this is going to be an entertaining affair. Haaland can get his trademark goal, and he can carry on his bright start to the season, because every year that Haaland's been here, in his first 6 games, Haaland does score a lot of goals. So I'm going to go with him as the most reliable pick. It's the safest pick at home. Tottenham, I have got a new manager. I think it's going to be an open game. And let's roll the dice, because if Haaland delivers as a differential, on top of that being a captain, guys, you will see your rank increase. So this is my team this weekend. So like I said, I've rolled my transfer for this week. But if I'm looking at potential transfers, then I think this is the first move I'm going to be making. Wirtz to Kudus. Wirtz, I've already said it, people. Arsenal next, after Newcastle. It's a tough fixture. And I need to start seeing returns, otherwise my rank is going to go down. And you look at Mohamed Kudus at the moment at 6.5 million, potential with a price rise. After Manchester City this weekend, Tottenham face Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, and Leeds. And when you look at that, I'm sorry, but they are great fixtures. And I think Kudus, with now Eze not joining the club, the focus is going to be on him trying to help Tottenham get the returns and play in players like Dominic Solanke, players like Richarlison. So this is a potential move that I will make, because it saves me a lot of money and it allows me to reinvest in my whole squad. And this would be my second move. And you might be thinking, how can you get Kudus? How can you get Reinders? Well, the 2 million I would save in Florian Wirtz to Kudus would then allow me to upgrade Josh King to Tijani Reinders. And that would be perfect for me moving forward. The only question is I'm waiting on Reinders, because they have got Tottenham, as I've mentioned, at home. And I want to see how he does in that type of game. But after that, Man City do play Brighton away. They play Manchester United at home. They play Arsenal away. And then they've got Burnley, Brentford, and Everton. So some kind fixtures in there that I'm definitely interested in having Tijani Reinders. But I think my only sticking point is the amount of quality that Man City have with Foden, with Marmoush, with Cherki. Will he always play advanced? That's what we have to wait and see, because we all know about the Pep roulette, because it stung me for at least, 5-6 seasons now. So there are my potential 2 transfers moving forward. But right now, I'm going to hold, as you see, my Game Week 2 selection. So guys, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. We want to get to 1K subs and then move forward and keep giving you great content. So please make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you're following FPL Hive and share this to your FPL community. And we'll see you on the next week's video.